You know, I was just really bothered by the idea that American prisoners could be just deported from the country, sent thousands of miles away from, home while they serve their time. And obviously, these people would lose due process if they're sent over there because we know El Salvador President Bukele made it very clear that, nobody leaves CECOT. So if somebody's wrongly convicted, they're fucked. Like, they have no recourse because there's no jurisdiction to handle their case. I'm just like, how is this even fucking legal? And then I realized Trump made this illegal in 2018 with the First Step Act. And if you don't know what the First Step Act is, welcome to the First Step Act overview for dummies. First thing you need to know is that, yes, this was meant to be a criminal justice reform bill, okay? It was a continuation of another bill. I don't recall. The goal was to make the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010, some of the reforms within that, retroactive, and they made some bipartisan changes. Here's the information you need so you can go look it up on billtracker.gov for yourself. But pay attention down below at Title 6, Miscellaneous Criminal Justice. Notice Section 601. And as you can see, it's specifically talking about where prisoners are going to be held. And if you notice, the original wording under the U.S. Code was that, they were going to get rid of them saying that shall designate the place of the prisoner's imprisonment. And instead, they expanded it to say shall designate the place of the prisoner's imprisonment and shall, subject to bed availability, the prisoner's security designation, the prisoner's programmatic needs, the prisoner's mental and medical health needs, any requests made by the prisoner related to faith-based needs, recommendations of the sentencing court, and other security concerns of the Bureau of Prisons, place the prisoner in a facility as close as practicably to the prisoner's primary residence, and to the extent practicable in a facility within 500 driving miles of that residence. And it goes further to say, on top of that, if there's prisoner preferences that requires transferring them to a facility that better meets their needs within 500 driving miles, even if they're already within 500 driving miles, they need to transfer them to that other prison. But the way this is written up, unless federal prisons evaporate overnight or state prisons evaporate overnight, they're going to find beds within 500 miles of people's homes. Within 500 drivable miles. And he put this into law back in 2018. So I'm going to be interested to see how he works around this particular ruling, because we have to consider needs of the prisoners. That's health needs. That's faith-based needs, since we're all about Christian, preference here. Mental health needs. We know for a fact that CECOT does not meet these standards that we require by Trump's own legislation for our prisoners. Now, whether he's going to actually live up to this or not and adhere to the rules that he's set to play by, obviously he's going to try not to. But I'm interested to see what Pam Bondi does with this. Something tells me we're going to require an act of Congress to adjust this legislation for him to achieve this goal. And do we really think the Senate would go along with something like this? It wouldn't surprise me if the House of Representatives did, because that's just a really rabid college frat house down there. I just don't see the Senate going along with this. I don't see any legal gray area. The House did create a legal gray area by saying, hey, no due process, and the Senate passed that bullshit. Oh, and spoiler, the First Step Act does not protect immigrants. It is predicated on someone's immigration status, unfortunately. So there is no hope for Kilmar with the First Step Act. But for U.S. citizens, there may be. Unless the Senate actually changes legislation, strikes that expansion on considerations for prisoner care. So only time will tell.